Welcome to Level 10 Construction. A. Mabury at the Rosendin Electric Building. Will be your superintendent, Robert Hernandez, your safety manager, Brian Stewart, and your laborer, Osvaldo Magana. Your office team is your project manager, Barry Olson, engineer, Corey Chananis, and your field office coordinator, Carrie Simons. Start time and meetings. Normal working hours are 06:30 to 15:30, Monday through Friday. For all personnel and again at 06:30. Safety meetings will normally go Mondays at 0700. All floors are off limits until assigned for work. Parking is on the Timothy side of the building. At Level 10 Construction, first, we need your help. We are beginning a journey together. We need your talents. Together, we will build at the highest levels of safety, environmental preservation, sustainability, quality, and value. How will you work safely? Well, you will plan and perform your jobs so you will continue to be injury-free. Superintendents, supervisors, and foremen will be safety role models for you. You will understand the safe way to do your task before you start. And you are authorized to stop work when you or anyone is in danger. What does it mean to work injury-free? Being injury-free means that you do not have a work-related injury or illness. You leave the job at the end of the day proud of the work that you have accomplished and the fact that no one was hurt. If you are a superintendent, supervisor, or foreman, the people you led today return to home safely. How do you do it? You need to pre-plan your work. Use your training or ask for additional training. Review the job hazard analysis. Be well rested and alert. Stretch and flex before you start. Think before you act, and complete pre-tasks. We are working safe for our families, and we must protect the public and tenants we work around. Our safety program consists of an injury and illness prevention program, a heat and illness and prevention program, a drugs-free workplace, a stormwater pollution prevention plan, and a water and mold prevention plan. You are required to wear a hard hat, safety glasses, V2 or V3 class visibility, long pants, ATSM approved footwear, gloves, and shirts with sleeves. Additional PPE may include a face shield when grinding or using a demo saw, hearing protection when exposed to noises greater than 85 decibels, fall protection when exposed to heights of 6 feet or greater, hoods with an approved air source when sandblasting. Grinding, bushing, or overhead drilling concrete to prevent silica overexposure may be required. We may require respirators. Burning, torching, or welding with some metals may require respirators. And you may be required to wear a respirator when the safety data sheet requires it. Inspect your PPE daily. When you wear it. Heat illness prevention program. At least 2 quarts of clean water should be readily available per person and 2 in reserve. Shade should be available at 80 degrees. At 95 degrees, the foreman will increase heat illness monitoring and take proactive steps to prevent heat-related injuries. Although this is a TI, sometimes the building will get hot. We still are required to follow regulations and monitor the temperature. It's not the temperature outside, but it's the temperature inside that we are worried about. All employees have a right to take a break if they feel sick. Notify L10 management in the event someone is believed to be sick or injured. Heat illness symptoms of heat illness is thirst. You need to drink water to the point where you're not thirsty. Sweating is also a symptom. The first stage of heat illness is called heat stress, heat fatigue. That's when you get muscle cramps or headaches. The second stage is heat exhaustion, is when you get dizzy, nauseous, or disoriented. The third stage is heat stroke. Usually at this point you stop sweating, you can lose consciousness, you can get brain damage, and you can die. Please inform us if you are on a prescription medication that may impair you. This is an alcohol, drug-free worksite. Post-incident testing. If you were involved in an incident that causes more than $500 in damage, you may be subject to a drug screen. If you receive medical care due to a job-related injury, you are required to take a drug screen. Suspicion-based testing is also in effect on this job site. Housekeeping. Materials must be stored in an orderly manner. Work areas must be cleaned daily. Spills must be immediately cleaned up, and material exposed to the weather must be cleaned up in accordance with the SWIP. Flammable liquids. Proper storage areas are required. No plastic containers. Approved safety cans are required. These will usually be metal, have spark arresting screens, have spring-loaded lids, and be labeled. Hot work. Any activity creating a flame or spark requires a hot work permit. Hot work permits typically. Fire extinguishers. You must have fire extinguishers for hot work, fuel storage, fueling, flammable combustible material storage, temporary heating devices, etc. Electricity. Consider everything to be energized until tested. During the demolition phase, we have electricians that are checking to make sure that everything is not on. Be sure that an electrician or a level 10 personnel has checked to make sure nothing is energized before you begin breaking through a wall. Mandatory. Inspect tools and cords for damage wear. Immediately remove defective items. Use the right tool for the job. Fall protection. Fall protection is required at 6 feet. Guardrails, safety nets, fall arrest restraint systems, covers, etc. are to be used to keep employees from falling 6 feet or more. If you do not have some sort of fall protection and do not know what to do, contact your supervisor. Opposed to fall distances greater than 15 feet or 1 floor, even if OSHA regulations allow it. Guardrail. The top rail should be at 39 to 45 inches, or an X bracing intersecting at 42 and 48. A mid rail should be at 18 to 24 inches, or an X bracing intersecting at 20 and 30 inches. The guardrail should be rated to 200 pounds. You must inspect your gear before each use. Wear your fall protection properly. If you are not sure, ask your supervisor. Choose the right fall protection for the job. Floor openings. Do not start making a hole until you are ready to protect it after it is cut. Hole covers must be labeled and rated to twice the intended load. Hole covers must be secured from movement. Make sure ladders are secure from movement. Make sure ladders access is protected. Use the correct ladder for the job. No metal ladders. No type 2 or type 3 ladders. Inspect your ladders before each use. These are ways you should not use your ladder. Do not stand on the top cap or the rung below the top cap. Fully extend. Ensure a firm, flat surface. Check stickers for legibility and special instructions. Inspect for damage. Lean into the ladder. Use 3 points of contact as you ascend and descend the ladder. The top cap is not for tool storage. Extension ladders. Extension ladders must be at least 3 feet above the landing. They must be tied off or secured from movement. They will be set up at a 1:4 base to height ratio. Use of the top 3 rungs is prohibited. Scaffolds. All scaffold erection use requires a level 10 pre-task prior to use. In the case that scaffold requirements differ from company to company, the most stringent requirements will be adhered to. If you need to use a scaffold, don't until you have gone over and signed a pre-task with your foreman or an L10 supervisor. Air-driven equipment. Air hoses greater than ½ inch in diameter must have a safety device such as a OSHA valve, Hansen valve, or safety check valve. A safety cable or whip check is required in addition to a secure connection. Powder actuated tools. Always weigh 30 fire. Know your surroundings. Use the appropriate load. Never leave your gun or loads unattended. Never leave your gun loaded when it is not in use. Properly dispose of unused loads. Have a sign within 50 feet. Yell shot before each firing. If you are firing more than 30 shots in an 8-hour time-weighted average period, you should be using lead-free loads. Forklift, aerial lift, scissor lift, etc. operators must be trained and have training certification available if requested. Review hand signals with the signalman before operation. Confined spaces. Do not enter a confined space unless the atmosphere has been tested, you have been trained, and you are following Level 10's confined space program. Moving equipment. No seat. Backup alarms must be working. Must be in place. Safety devices must be in operable condition. Damaged equipment is not to be used. Vehicles should not be left idle more than 3 minutes. Precautions may be required when using vehicles indoors. Give me 20 program. Operators are responsible for the safety of the people on the ground next to them. All workers on the ground are responsible for being visible to the equipment operators. Operators and ground personnel will acknowledge that they have seen each other. Above ceiling work. Above ceiling hazards, fire, falls, and sharp objects. If you have work above the ceiling that requires 80% or more of your body in the ceiling, L10 must be informed of the work, and the area must be inspected by your foreman before you proceed. JHAs and SDSs. Job hazard analysis will be conducted throughout the life of the job. Safety data sheets will be readily available for review prior to exposure to potentially hazardous or harmful substances. There will most likely be chemicals on this job that are known to cause cancer or reproduction harm. This is the Proposition 65 warning. Bathrooms. Toilets and wash stations are available. Toilets should be a minimum of 50 feet away from the storm drain. Avoid using building wash and sanitation facilities. Do not damage or deface the toilets. Separate toilets will be provided for women. Let your L10 team know if there is a problem. Water and mold prevention plan. Number 1, stop and limit the water intrusion. Number 2, Notify applicable parties. Photograph and document the event. Number 4, remove excess water. Number 5, record the date and time. Environmental protection. Smoking is only allowed in designated areas. Smoking is prohibited in the bathrooms. Cigarette butts need to safely be disposed of. The storm drains run into an sediment. Mud is a pollutant. Try to stay on pavement or rock surfaces with your vehicle. All soiled cars, trucks, and equipment must go through best management practices at the site. Do not run over, damage, or remove wattles, silt fences, rock bags, inlet protection without returning the BMPs to the condition you found them in. No materials are to be dumped on the ground. Only water can be dumped on the ground. If there is a fuel, oil, hydraulic fluid, or concrete spill, it must be contained, cleaned up immediately. Contaminated soil will be properly disposed of. Stored off the ground. Mortar, fireproofing, grout bags of cement or concrete must be stored on pallets or plastic to prevent ground contamination. If it is about to rain, then these materials must be also covered. All fuel, waste tanks, and paint should have double containment. Drywall should be stored off the ground, protected from moisture, and prevented from being picked up in the wind. Debris boxes. Debris boxes should be placed a minimum of 50 feet away from the storm drains. All debris boxes will be covered during rains to prevent pollution. Injury. If you are injured, let us know immediately. We have first aid training people on site, or we can bring paramedics onto the site. Remember, we are building at the highest level of safety, environmental preservation, sustainability, quality, and value. You always have a right to stop work to mitigate a hazard. Welcome to the Erosion Electric Tenant Improvement. For questions, contact Robert Hernandez at 408-599-8775. Thank you, and have a safe